What's going on? What's going on, film fam? Welcome to another episode of Let the Film Speak. I am one of your hosts, Chop. Heard my main man, Willie Jack. Willie Jack, how you doing this evening, big dog?
Hey man, it's 7 o'clock. I'll talk about with my dogs, man. So I'm feeling good, feeling great.
Absolutely, man. And you know we're gonna talk ball, man. We had some great games this past weekend that we definitely gonna get into. We also gonna jump into a few other different subjects. You know, we had some news, coaching carousel, a lot of coaching moves going on. So we're gonna touch on that. And yeah, so we're gonna jump into all of that, man. But before we do that, y'all know what it is. It's the same as always. Let's and share that, subscribe, and also hit that notification bell. It's the house rules, man. That's what you got to do when you step foot in the door. You know what I'm saying? Become the newest member of the film fam. Holler at your partners. Let them know what's going on. I see that Facebook group is jumping, man. I'm seeing more and more followers each and every day, man. So everybody that's out there sharing the Facebook group, man, we appreciate y'all out there. And matter of fact, Willie Jack, I don't know. I'm going to ask you on the spot, though. I'm going to put you on the spot.
Come on with it.
You would want, since we got this Super Bowl week coming up, man, we might go ahead and go live on Facebook. What you think, Willie Jack? You think we should, man? We think we should go live on Facebook along with on our next episode, man. Do a double one, man.
Because our next
dip,
yeah,
be a little
double dip,
a little different, man. Because we got a couple weeks for the Super Bowl, so our next episode is gonna be a little different. I imagine we'll probably step into a lot of those the awards that's gonna be given out, and with the
yeah, you ain't gotta get too deep off in it. Yeah, I'm with it. Yeah, I'm with it. I'm with it.
So okay. Well, yeah, just want to check in with my dog, but yeah, I think that's something we can definitely do. But yeah, like I said, man, holler at your partners, let them know what's going on. We appreciate y'all for sharing already. Subscribe and hit that notification bell. Be in the know of what me and Willie Jack got going on when we got some stuff cooking up. That way you can be a part, of the game, man. So without further ado, let's jump into some news, Willie Jack. Some news. Now, there was a name that was out there, Willie Jack, in terms of a guy that was that we were anticipating possibly going somewhere and taking on a head coaching opportunity, but he decides to stay home, and he decides to stay in Detroit. The offensive coordinator. What's up? What's going on?
Go on with. I'll let you in the chat. Go ahead, bro. Tee it up. Come on.
Oh, my fault. My bad. Well, offensive coordinator Ben Johnson, man. Ben Johnson decides to stay with the Detroit Lions. Willie Jack, what's your take on this one, man?
No, it was surprising, man. It seemed like he was the guy that most everybody had kind of, well, a lot of, I guess, pundits and major media outlets had linked him to this Washington Commanders job. And honestly, he's probably been the hottest name on the market now for definitely this offseason for sure. And then he had quite a bit of noise on his name last offseason. Last offseason, he turned down that Panthers job. And so there have been a lot of speculation. There was a big anticipation that he was definitely coming out this year, and like I said, it was teed up for this Washington job, and so it was a bit of a shock, honestly, to see him decide to go ahead and stick it out. For whatever reason, things didn't come together. I guess it's to be assumed things didn't come together in the power arrangement or whatever it was with the Commander. So he decides to stay at home, running back one more time with the Lions. Maybe the third time will be the charm. And so yeah, it was pretty surprising, man, to see him sit still there, especially after such a kind of heartbreaking loss the way they had it. And so you'd thought maybe now he'd strike while his iron was hottest. But man, you said running back one more time, bet on himself one more time again.
Absolutely, yeah, definitely betting on yourself, and that's one way to look at it, Willie Jack. But I'm always on the side of, hey, head coaching may not be everybody's thing that they want to do. You know what I'm saying? If you're successful at an OC position, man, that is I think that's it's okay for you to just stay in the OC position. You don't have to always try to take a head coaching position, and then for a lot of coaches, just like the majority, end up getting fired and then having to go back and try to find another OC position somewhere else when you got a good situation where you at. So I'm always okay with any of the coaches, that are wanting to stick with their teams and play the Josh McDaniel role or play the what Ben Johnson is doing, what I'm saying, or even Slowick, the offensive coordinator over in Houston. He decides to stay home too, so he was a hot coach out there as well. What you gonna say, Willie Jack?
Well, no, I was gonna say I think he's a little different. Like I know he interviewed, but I don't think he actually got any offers. But the reports I had seen talking about him said that he impressed the interview well, and it's assumed that like next year will probably be his year, especially because he was already so young and new to the position. Even as OC, he had immediate success, and so it was probably just a tad premature on him. But a couple teams did their rounds on him, and like I said, from all intents purposes, he did well. And then Houston, when he did come back, they actually I think they gave him a bump. They reworked his contract a little bit. He'll get a little bit more money, but yeah, he's definitely going to be a name hot in the next year's cycle. For sure, when things open back up, or at least it's assuming they build on this year's success. But then the thing with Johnson, I don't think it's necessarily a thing that he's not wanting to be a head coach, but I think he's one of those where he's got the he's got the luxury and the leverage to make sure he steps into the perfect situation for him, so he doesn't necessarily have to take not necessarily a bad deal, but he can be a little choosy. You know what I'm saying? He's the pretty girl at the dance. He don't have to dance with everybody. You know what I mean? So I think that's more so what he's looking to do. I don't think he's not wanting to be a head coach. I think he definitely wants to sit in a big seat, but he's taking his time. Like I said, man, he's going to take his time and get everything he wants to maximize his leverage.
Absolutely, and that very well may be the case, and that might be the case. I'm just saying, like, I don't feel like a lot of OCs or DCs should feel like they have to go for the head coaching spot just because what I'm saying, it's hot and you got it going. If that's not something that you aspire to be, it's okay. You could be an OC or a great OC for a long time coming. But keep it moving, Willie Jack. Let's go ahead and jump into another one, man. And this one may have slipped through the cracks for us for last week, but we're gonna touch on it this week. But the Browns end up hiring Ken Dorsey as their new offensive coordinator. Willie Jack, what are you thinking on this one, Willie Jack, in terms of this move? You think this is a good move? You think this is a move that kind of make it is a head scratcher? What are your thoughts on this one?
Honestly, man, I wasn't sure how quickly Ken Dorsey was going to rebound from just how poorly it ended with Buffalo, man, because he was a guy that was in Buffalo in that seat. And the thing about Ken Dorsey's name is that, well, what 3 years ago now, roughly, when he was the quarterback coach under Brian Daboll, he was a name that was. He was a guy that was looked at or thought of as like a rising guy. And so that's why when Daboll moved on and got the job at the Giants, it was a no-brainer. The Bills already had a perfect guy in-house to rise up the ranks and just kind of keep that party going. And so he kind of fell a little flat there, especially toward the end this last season. We know he made it, 6-7 games before they got rid of him. And then honestly, him leaving the team did kind of help to kind of spark that run that the Bills went on. And so it was a little surprising maybe in that, because it still feels a little fresh that maybe things didn't pan out so well. But the Browns, I guess, like I said, they talked to them and decided to make a move in their own building, and so bring them in. And so now I'm curious, with Stefanski already having his own offensive background, but now him having Ken Dorsey there. So I'm curious to see like how much of that changes over. We've seen the Browns here lately be a very heavy kind of run-based offense, primarily when everybody's healthy and you got Nick Chubb, one of the best backs doing it. And so we did see how this offense, I guess, looks when they go ahead and kind of open it up and air it out a little more when Joe Flacco comes in, and we saw them find success there for a great while. And so I'm curious to see what it looks like in Cleveland now. In Buffalo, one of the biggest knocks that we saw from the Daboll time and the Dorsey time was they really didn't maximize usage of their running backs. And so when he got out that building, that was one of the instant changes that we saw from the new guy who took over, Joe Brady. And he may be an announcement on here as well, because he's assuming that role full time now. But with a team that had predominantly been so ingrained in the run game, and you have a guy who over the last few years they struggled to find touches for their running backs. So I am kind of curious to see, like, when you know better, you do better. So I'm assuming, especially going where he's at now with this personnel, but I am kind of curious to see just kind of the splits or what they look to do with that offense going forward, especially when you bring in Ken Dorsey.
Yeah, and that's something I'm curious about as well, especially with him losing a job in the middle of a season. And it almost gives me the feeling, Willie Jack, just being straight up honest, man, that the story of, like we talk about a lot with head coaches, the recycling of these coaches, man. It's like these coaches get opportunities and they have an opportunity to showcase what they can do, and they fail, but yet they get jobs right away again. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know what the thing is there, if there are relationships that have been built with some of the guys in the Browns organization. But this is one it was a little bit of a head scratcher for me, Willie Jack, and I want to see how it plays out as well, because the way that he utilized Josh Allen, when we saw him, there was like no structure, and the way that they lost in that playoff game last year against Cincinnati in the playoffs. Now your quarterback is Deshaun Watson, another guy who likes to hold the ball a long time. And if your offense is going to be similar there, I don't see how successful this offense can really be. Maybe they really lean more on Nick Chubb, but still at the same time, I'm curious to see what they decide to do in terms of that and how successful they can really be. So that's one of the things, Willie Jack. Moving on, let's go to your Pittsburgh Steelers, and I'm very curious to see what your thoughts are on this one, man. I'm very curious to see what your thought process is. But the Steelers hire former Atlanta Falcons head coach Arthur Smith as your new OC. I know you're feeling good, Jack. Talk to me. Talk to me about y'all new OC, man. Go ahead. Y'all wanted Canada out the building, man. So go ahead and tell me what's up.
And you know what's crazy, man, is I think this hire I think sums up perfectly like what you said just a minute ago. Every coordinator is not meant to be a coach. You know what I mean? Sometimes a coach may be better suited to be a coordinator, and I'm hoping that this is going to be the case for Arthur Smith. You know what I'm saying? Because his head coach stint in Atlanta, it left a lot of us scratching our heads like, okay, hold on, man, what you doing, man? You got, you know what I mean? But when I go back and look at the last time he was an offensive coordinator, it was at the peak of Derrick Henry, Ryan Tannehill, and the Titans when they were consecutive top 5 offense in the league. That was he was the guy that reinvented or kind of rejuvenated Ryan Tannehill's career. Ryan Tannehill was, considered yeah, he was a first round quarterback when he came out of Texas A&M. He goes to Miami. It never really pans out in Miami, and so he essentially busted out of Miami. He goes to Tennessee, and then under the guidance of Arthur Smith, once they really got things rolling, Ryan Tannehill had quiet as kept. Ryan Tannehill got himself into some of those like very low level kind of MVP grumblings in that year that they went like what 13-3 and were the number 1 seed, and it was more so kind of that Brock Purdy-ish earlier days kind of Kirk Cousins style of kind of coloring in the box, Tua Tagovailoa style of kind of coloring in the box, but being the guy who's putting up safe, consistent, productive numbers, and just, you know what I mean? It was like that. So anyway, long story short, I don't at all hate this move for us as an offensive coordinator, especially looking at our personnel. We definitely want to get back to a successful run game. We had Jalen Warren. We've got Najee Harris. Najee Harris, who kind of fits the size profile of a Derrick Henry. Like our offensive line, the way when we reinvigorated ourselves this season, we kind of got back into controlling the game with our run game primarily, trying not to turn the ball over in the passing game, and all these type of things. And so when I look at what Arthur Smith did best in Tennessee, it does match what we have the ability to do here in Pittsburgh. This is when, also keep in mind, this is when A.J. Brown burst on the scene, like being a big physical receiver who, after we got Derrick Henry going downhill, well, now we get A.J. Brown on these deep play actions going 20, 25 yards over the field on deep digs. And where Tannehill find that success. And then, like I said, A.J. Brown starting to make a name for himself. Well, I've got a young, physical, big body, aggressive receiver in George Pickens now who can assume that role. You know what I'm saying? And so I like a lot of the pieces, kind of how some of our pieces mesh with what his offense did its best when it was in Tennessee. A guy like Jonnu Smith at tight end, who was able to find success, like I said, working those intermediate. I've got a young guy in Pat Fryermuth who may be able to assume that role. Like I think it kind of it lines up. It really does. Now the only thing is we definitely are still gonna need some style of. I mean, I want us to bring in some style like passing game coordinator, somebody, and also like a specific quarterback coach, somebody to actually specifically handle that facet or be more hands-on in that part of the offense. But as far as the overall outlook of assuming we going back to like that 2018 to 2020 Titans offense, I'm with that. Hey, I'll sign up for that. I'll take my 250-pound back and my 6'4", 200-pound George Pickens, you know what I'm saying, play action over the top. I'll take it. I'll sign up for that. So yeah, I'm not too mad at this hire. I'm not gonna lie.
Gotcha. And that was what kind of so more my thoughts too, Willie Jack, was yes, like you mentioned from the very beginning, everybody's not cut out to be a head coach. and now he moves back into his OC role that he used to play. And of course, the 2 years that he did serve as an OC for the Tennessee Titans, now he came from he was a tight ends coach with the Titans beforehand. But the 2 years as an OC were the 2 years that Derrick Henry led the league in rushing. You know what I'm saying? So I'm curious to see how that plays out if he implements a little bit more of that. I think you guys, I don't know if you guys have the exact enough of the same personnel to do those type of things. I know you guys would want to improve their offensive front and be more of bullies up front. And I think you guys are still going to need a QB. But the problems that we saw from Arthur Smith in Atlanta, I think if there's one head coach that's going to make sure that his weapons are utilized and can kind of work with Arthur Smith and making sure that's achieved, it is Mike Tomlin. I think Mike Tomlin is going to. I think it's still his team, and he's going to have a very a huge impact on the production of Arthur Smith and what he's able to do. It's one thing when you just got full control, full reins, and you're able to do exactly what you want to do. But at the same time, when you got somebody, now you gotta fall in line now. You know what I'm saying? You're not the head honcho anymore. And when you got to fall in line, there's certain things you got to do. So I think Mike Tomlin, the standard is a standard. I think he's one guy that could really help Arthur Smith. And together, I think if they work as a team, this could succeed. But of course, another one I really want to see as well. I was on Arthur Smith head from jump. So
his time. Yeah, it was definitely time for him to get up out of Atlanta for sure.
For sure. But hey, another thing, that dude had the exact same record all 3 years. He was 7-10 all 3 years as Atlanta head coach. It's crazy. Yeah. Not one game less or more. So that's exactly what it was. On to the next one. We had a head coaching hire, Willie Jack. We had Mike Macdonald, man. Mike Macdonald, former DC of the Baltimore Ravens, coming off that tough loss, which we'll get to at some point. Hired as the head coach of the Seattle Seahawks. Of course, we do know Pete Carroll had been recently moved to a different role within the Seattle organization. And I forgot what the role was called.
It's something they just kind of it's just senior advisory position. It's nondescript. Pete
Something
couldn't even
like
tell anybody in the press conference what it is he's going to do. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. So with Pete Carroll kind of moving into a different position within his organization, they went ahead and hired the former defensive coordinator for the Ravens as their head coach. And this one, Willie Jack, was a little bit of a I think they could have went either way with this one, and we talked about this on the last show when we were talking about the different possibilities in terms of whether or not the Seattle Seahawks would go with somebody that can really come in there and really do Big Geno, as you call him, Geno Smith, some justice and kind of help him, grow and develop with this offense with some of these young guys. Or would they go with a defensive guy with a lot of these pieces that they added on the defensive side of the ball to help, get this defense back close to where they were when they were the most successful. So they end up going with a defensive guy. And of course, you got to give kudos to Mike Macdonald with the role that he played and helping this Ravens defense go from where they were to the best defense in the league this year. And of course the pieces that they added and so on and so forth. So they got had some awesome pieces to work with. This Seattle defense has some pieces. I don't think they are as talented as the Baltimore Ravens defense, but they do got some pieces there, and they got some things to work with. So I'm curious to see what his impact is going to be on his team, and also what's going to happen with this offense. What is this offense going to look like? Who does he bring in to kind of help him with their process as well? So those are some things I'm looking at. Willie J, what's your thoughts on it?
You're not exactly right, man. As far as the hire itself, I do like the hire, and honestly, it's almost like they kind of just reset that Pete Carroll clock. Well, not the Pete Carroll clock, but like that Pete Carroll formula. When they brought Pete Carroll in, well, I was gonna say he was a young, energetic guy, but he's not. Pete ain't been young for a long time. You know what I'm saying? Unless you're as young as you feel. In that case, Pete Carroll been 17 for about 40 years.
Hey man, you know what I'm saying? Boy, young the way he was carving up that defense, boy.
Hey, I'm telling you. But I think as far as like what they did when he came in, he had youthful energy. Let's say that. So very youthful energy, and he was a defensive guy, very charismatic. And so when I see a young Mike Macdonald, he's now the youngest coach in the league currently. He's only 36. You know what I'm saying? And so, but he's a young guy, defensive guy, very charismatic personality from what you hear about what you hear in coaching circles and that sort of thing. And so it kind of mimics that that kind of same persona, so to say, that they had from Pete Carroll, which is just a very kind of infectious, bubbly kind of like every day charged up, let's wake up and go get it type of attitude. And so now you get that, but now you've cut it in half instead of now that being not being led that way by a 75-year-old man. Well, now you got a 36-year-old man. You went from the oldest coach to the youngest coach in the league, and you kind of restart that process. And then also, man, just the what made Seattle was like that Legion of Boom defense. And this is a defense that's been a bottom 4 or 5 defense in the league now, on the grand scale for the last like 3, 4, 5 years, it feels like. And so, just like you said, man, they've got some young pieces there, and now you really get a chance to kind of restart or just kind of just a chance to be reborn in your own image again. So now you still got a youthful, bright, charismatic defensive guy, and now you still got a chance to kind of build and regrow that defense. And then the offense, like I said, I am curious, like you said too, to see where they go for direction as far as the offensive coordinator goes. There is still some young a young hot offensive name, a guy whose name was on my Steelers kind of speculative list for offensive coordinator, and Clint Kubiak. Of course, he's still on the sidelines of San Francisco, but I don't know if they have any connection. But just looking at the guys who are left, I mean, I don't know if that's a name that maybe Mike's going to want to talk to if they just want to kind of just a whole youth revolution in Seattle, man, and maybe that'd be a name to look for. But yeah, be curious to see what he does there. Also, with him being such a young coach and being a defensive specialist, I wouldn't be surprised if they in fact went the other way, and maybe you get an older, more experienced, more veteran offensive guy, so that as a young coach, you have a grown, established coach and a guy that can just kind of more so run the offense completely on his own without, you know what I mean, not the blind leading the blind, so to say. So there's a couple different ways they could go as far as how they feel that role in the offense. But I definitely like the hire as far as Mike Macdonald, the job we saw him do with Baltimore, and then and I'm anxious to see what he's able to do with kind of some of those young pieces they got, man. Devin Witherspoon, man, what's your boy, man, that corner? I can't think of his name right now.
You talking about Reek Woolen, Tariq Woolen.
Reek Williams, Devin Witherspoon. Man, I liked Boye Mafe like 3 years ago now coming in. I liked him a whole lot, man, as an edge rusher. And then also, man, with that the style of front, is he gonna convert them more into like a 3-4 style look versus kind of that hybrid 4-3 over 5-2 kind of style of look that's those Seattle teams like to use. And I'll throw you a freebie as well, chat, just because you my dog. Patrick Queen probably gonna be in Seattle next year because the linebacker room in Seattle is what you had. They brought back they brought back the OG and Bobby Wagner. He's 35. He was on a 1-year deal. I don't know if he's really gonna. I would doubt they I don't know. Well, I don't want to speak ill of him because, like I said, he's a legend. I don't know if he actually comes back. Jordan, the other kid, Jordan Brooks or whatever. I think his last contract was up. They had Devin Bush, who was just terrible. He played and started like a handful of games for him this year as well. So that whole linebacker second line is without contract right now. And so Patrick Queen, his 5th-year option, wasn't picked up in Baltimore. Roquan Smith comes in and kind of saves that boy's career, and he really kind of gets a second beat. And now he's due to be a free agent. I wouldn't be surprised if that's a move we see get made, man, where he comes over there to be the quarterback of Mike Macdonald's new defense in Seattle. So, that'd be something to watch out for this offseason.
Absolutely, Willie Jack. I'm with you there, man. And just see how that kind of plays out. Which leads us to the last team without a head coach. The last team last team without a head coach. There was only 2 left. Seattle was one of them. Of course, we saw what Seattle decided to do. But now it's the Commanders. The Commanders are the last team. This is a team that still hasn't made up their mind or made a final decision on what they want to do with the head coaching position. And Willie Jack, I think it's maybe it's time. What options do you think are out there that'll be suitable for this Washington Commanders team, or which direction you think they should go, or what do you think they're thinking? Like all of those things. Let's talk about it.
No, I got you. And well, I think I think they were. Well, it's not just me, of course. Like I said, they wildly speculated that the reports were that Ben Johnson was their guy, and by all intents and purposes, he was open to the job. But I guess as far as the amount of control that maybe he wanted to have, as far as over the roster and things like this, maybe Washington wasn't comfortable giving or ceding so much roster control to the guy they're going to bring in, or at least that's been the wildly the most speculated reason, I guess, for them two sides not coming together that I've been seeing. And so, but so yeah, so that's the one that's, I guess, why I was so surprised, because it looked like the writing's been on the wall for this one for months now. But since that's not going to happen, they already interviewed, I think, like a week or week and a half ago, EB right there in house, who's still under contract as the offensive coordinator. So he already interviewed in house. But honestly, I think if that was a move they wanted to make, I think they would have made that move. They did also interview um, Aaron Glenn, the defensive coordinator, from that same Lions team with Ben Johnson. Like I said, so I'm not sure how that went, and I mean, I don't know, man. Um, you still got Mike Vrabel out there. For my money, man, like I said, Mike Vrabel, there's not too many names that are going to pique my interest more than a Mike Vrabel for myself personally. He's still out there, and I believe he may have interviewed with them as well. I hadn't heard about like Flores getting an interview, or you know what I mean, or just a favorite amongst the show, but I hadn't heard him actually interview for not just that job, but any job. And so if I had to give you if it's got to be, if it's not going to be EB, then I want Mike Vrabel. Like I said, I think he's definitely the most qualified coach. I think he's coming fresh off of a job. I don't think he did anything to embarrass himself or hurt his standings in my mind as a coach. That was just a poorly. It was just a poor roster. It was a poor roster, and he had to make a lot of sugar out of you know what, you know what I mean, to even kind of compete most weeks. And I don't think he disappointed. And so I see a team in Washington. The defense is absolutely abysmal. You've already got Eric Bieniemy there under contract, so I don't necessarily mind going to get somebody that can like kind of hone on and bring that defense to heel, or at least kind of get that defense back competitive in some form or fashion. I think Mike Vrabel could definitely do that. So Vrabel would definitely be my coach, man. You know what I'm saying? Mike, you know what? This one's for free, man. You're gonna have to pay me for your next plug, big dog. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna chop it up. But nah, man, Vrabel would be my pick if you don't, and if not, if like I said, I'd rather have Vrabel than Aaron Glenn. You know, no disrespect to Aaron Glenn and the job he's done with Detroit. You know what I mean? Like finding a way for them to be scrappy and feisty and those type of things. And I'd like to see him get a shot, but I'm not taking him over Vrabel if I can get Vrabel. You know what I mean? But that'd be my go-to, of course, unless they go ahead and let EB rock out, man. Maybe it's time. Somebody stop playing my dog, man. Go ahead, pull the trigger, let EB rock out if you don't want to go get Vrabel.
Gotcha. Like I said, that was one of the names that I mentioned before. Willie Jack is Mike Vrabel, and just wondering. I guess the question was wondering how their relationship will play out between Mike Vrabel and Eric Bieniemy. If Eric
Yeah.
Bieniemy is still there, if Mike Vrabel gets their head coaching job, but then the, I mean, we wrote him off pretty much. We haven't really talked about him, but Bill Belichick is still out there. And now the more I think about it, I think Bill Belichick may even be a better fit to me in Washington. And the
Mhm.
reason why I say is because I think Bill Belichick has done this long enough to where, regardless of what Eric Bieniemy does, regardless of what people may think of him on or off the field, I think that Bill Belichick has a way of managing that to where we could possibly get the best out of Eric Bieniemy, and that relationship actually worked. Whereas maybe Mike Vrabel and Eric Bieniemy being, of course, both alphas, being both like similar in terms of, the age and the experience and those type of things, they could cause a little bit more of those guys could butt heads a little bit more. But Bill Belichick, having so many years of experience in the game and having so much success, I think that could possibly help Eric Bieniemy, and they could end up being a great partnership. So that's another name that's out there. I know we talked about Ben Johnson. We talked about a lot of other guys. Man, there's a lot of names out there, and quite honestly, I feel like there was a lot of guys that should have been given opportunities, to showcase their skills, but none of those guys have gotten jobs yet. So we might be seeing Mike Vrabel and Bill Belichick sit on the outside looking in when it's all said and done. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of how that goes.
No, and then one thing I say, man, about Vrabes, if he doesn't get this Washington job, which, like I said, I mean, maybe he won't, but there's still several defensive coordinator spots that's open as well. So I would still think Vrabel's going to wind up on somebody's sideline, kind of much like we saw with Brian Flores when everything kind of fell out the way it did, and then he came and was a defensive assistant with my Steelers, and then of course went back to being a DC with Minnesota, which is where he's still at. I wouldn't be surprised to see if Vrabel, maybe he has to take a DC role for a year here, and then he hits the market again next year. I wouldn't be opposed to that as well, but because there's like
He,
what, there's like
he,
six. defense
He can
coordinator
come
spot's
over to
open.
LA. He can definitely come over to LA.
Hey,
Come on over,
see,
bro.
I
Come
don't know
on,
if
let's.
Reigns want to be in sunny LA. I don't know. It might be too sunny and bright out there for him. You know
Hey
what I
man,
mean?
come have you a good time in LA, man. Hey, have you ever? I know you good with with Jeffrey Simmons. You know, have you ever had a toy like Aaron Donald? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, ooh, hey,
Come on over.
that's true
Come
too.
on,
Hey,
come on
hey,
over.
you know what's just as sunny as LA and half the Texas? The Miami Dolphins. Miami Dolphins need a defensive coordinator.
They
Well, hey,
they
ain't nothing wrong with
definitely need
South
a
Beach
DC.
now.
They definitely need a DC.
Hey, they need one too. So, like I said, I think there's a good. Mike's gonna have some opportunity to coach this year for sure, especially if he wants to get to the coordinator role, man. Your Rams, which is, and I didn't even think about them, but yeah, you just lost Reed Morris, great spot. Miami, South Beach, great spot. You know what I'm saying? Personally speaking, the Giants in New York, they let go Wink Martindale. You know what I mean? Him and Dayball fell out, so that DC
The
position
the
is open.
Packers, the
No,
Packers.
I think the Packers just hired some guy, the coach from Boston College. I think I just saw right
Oh
before
yeah,
the
yeah,
show.
yeah, yeah, yeah. They did,
Yeah,
they did, they
and so I
did.
think college coach from Boston College, I think his name was like Jeff Halfley, something like that. So he gets hired to be the Packers' new defensive coordinator. So kudos and shout out to him. But I want to. There's like, man, it's like I think there's like two more DC positions open. Vic Fangio had just took that the Philly defensive coordinator role, but I want to say there's like two more, man. So chances are I would be hard pressed to see or to imagine that Mike Vrabel isn't on the sideline in some capacity, at the very least, as a defensive coordinator, unless he's just saying, "Nah, I'm just gonna chill and I'm ready for the big seat again. You know, I'll take this year off and I'll come back and get another big chair." But yeah, if he wants to coach, man, I had to imagine somebody would definitely welcome with open arms as their defense coordinator.
Absolutely, absolutely. With you there, man. And we had a couple people rolling here, man. I know we ain't shout out any of the comments yet. Now, hey, y'all, we see y'all in there. We definitely see y'all. And matter of fact, go ahead and do real quick, man. Give us a film fam check-in, man. Who done rolled in the building? Who done hollered at us? I'm saying, let us know who in the building.
No, appreciate you as always, man. Oh, first one through the door, man. Little sissy say you hear her knocking, let her in. Hey, we was on the way now. You know what I'm saying? So it ain't always 7 o'clock, but it's 7. You know what I'm saying? Cause it's 7 o'clock. So there's a little difference to 7. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Some of y'all eat
yeah.
at 7 o'clock. In my house, dinner was about 7. You know what I'm saying? It's a little different. You know, we ain't always on time. We ain't never late though. There we go. So hey, we appreciate you. Hey, ZB was in next one through the door, man. Good evening to everybody. Wife and sister of the show, Mrs. Boyce said, "What's happening to all the filmmakers for sure?" And then Mom Dukes was in the thing as well. Appreciate you. Have a blessed show as always. Love you, lady. And then man, my dog, man, Miles, the Matt Connor in this thing, man. He said he wasn't feeling that Arthur Smith hire, man. He said not Art. But hey, I can't blame you, man. Art didn't do himself no favors in Atlanta. And then the rest of y'all, man, y'all go ahead and sit down, get real comfortable, man. We're gonna dive into the Super Sunday matchup here shortly.
Absolutely, absolutely, man. So y'all go ahead, y'all stay tuned. We coming right back. We're gonna do a quick little break, and then we coming back with these games, man. Y'all, we coming back with where everybody's been looking for, man. So y'all stay tuned.
Today's episode of Let the Film Speak, hosted by the wonderfully handsome and intelligent brothers of Let the Film Speak. That's Chop and your main man, Willie Jack. You feel me? Also brought to you by the Three Amigos. Y'all know them and you love them, man. That's the Three Amigos. That's like, that's share, that's subscribe. That's three the hard way. That's a 3-piece spicy. You cannot go wrong. Now, I say the same thing every week, so y'all can say it at home with me. I know y'all ready for it. Here we go. It's Three Amigos. But it's 4 parts to this process, big dog. First, you just got tapped in. Like my dog said, man, come in, tap in, just say what's up, man. Just holler. Hey, what's up, Three Amigos, man? Like, share, subscribe. Hey, Chop, man, Willie, man, what's going on, man? It's cool. I sit on the couch for sure. Y'all got some cold to drink? Oh man, my man. Yeah. Oh yeah. By the way, man, I'm a Broncos fan. That's all you got to do. That's it. That's easy. And the Chop, come in, sit down, get comfortable, get a cool adult beverage, and let us know who you ride with, big dog. Then tell a friend. Like, man, that's a nice feeling here, ain't it? Man, it's cool, man. My homeboy was out. He was down. Man, it's cool. I can tell a friend. Tell a friend, man. And you know what? Even better than that, you can tell your friend to tell a friend. Guess what? There's more. You can tell your friend to bring his partner to. Bring one more because we need 4, man. Bring them up into the penthouse. Tapping with your dogs, man. Wednesdays at 7 o'clock. You know we don't wear no watches. We ain't got nowhere else to be but in here kicking football flavor with the fam. And now back to the regularly scheduled program.
All right, Billy Jack, and we back in the building, man. We back in the building, and of course, like we said, man, y'all know what today is, man. It's the recap show, and we definitely gonna recap each one of the AFC and NFC championship games. You know, of course, we all football fans in here. See, I know who's playing in the Super Bowl. See, I know who came away with the W's in this game. But me and Willie Jack, we're gonna break down what happened in these games. We're gonna break down why each one of these teams lost and won these games. And let's start it off in Baltimore, Willie Jack. Let's talk about the Purple Birds, the guys you really didn't want to root for. Well, actually, you didn't want to root for neither one of these teams. But either way, we're gonna jump ahead and jump into it. We had the Kansas City Chiefs on the road in the AFC Championship. They go on the road. They defeat the Ravens 17-10. Pat Mahomes and the Chiefs and Andy Reid, they do it again. Another Super Bowl appearance for them. Willie Jack, talk to me, man. What happened in this game, dog?
Man, honestly, I think the Ravens the Ravens lost hold of who they are. You know what I mean? It feels like the Ravens is an old saying. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you make a little money, you forget where you come from. You know what I mean? That's what it feels like happened to Baltimore.
Hey,
You know what I mean? Lamar
hey.
Jackson, Baltimore, $300 million, whatever it is. Fire Greg Roman. We don't need to run the ball 60 times a game. Go get a hot shot college coach from Georgia, Todd Monken. Todd, show us how to throw the ball. You know what I mean? Do all these cutesy little things and everything, right? And then we forget that we at home in the playoffs to go to the Super Bowl with the number one rushing offense in the league, and we finished the game with what 6 dedicated called run plays to the quarter to the running backs. We had 11 total rushes, dedicated actual rushes in the game total. We have a game in which the number one rusher team in the league passes for damn near 40 times and doesn't run the ball for 15. You know what I mean? And so that kind of was and then on the other that was which was of course was a huge thing, but then on the other side of it, man, we got to get back to looking at Kansas City and the way that Kansas City is realistically real life on the fly before our very eyes reinvented themselves over the course of this whole year, and more specifically the club once they've gotten to the playoffs. This was a very impressive game from Kansas City, and I want to talk specifically. I've been shouting him out for I feel like every week in the playoffs I shout him out. Isaiah Pacheco. And it wasn't because it was a lights out performance, but you know what it was, Chop? This was workman, grinded out, playoff style running back play. This is what you need. He had 24 carries in this game. That's the big number. The big number for me in this game is not the 68 yards, because 68 yards isn't impressive at all. But I said it, I think, 2 weeks ago, going into that Buffalo Bills game, I said, man, I need the carries are going to mean just as much or more to me than the final yardage. 24 for 48 is hard. That is hard, tough sledding, hard-nosed playoff, especially road playoff against a team like the Baltimore Ravens, the defensive triple crown winner, the number one defense in the league, a team in a city that's built their name and reputation on being or trying to be, you feel me, trying to be some of the biggest, baddest dudes on the block. You know what I mean? You're not gonna come in here and run the ball on us, bro. You're not gonna out physical us. And that's exactly what it says. It means when you're able to run the ball at your will, or you know what I'm saying, like force guys to play a certain brand of ball. Kansas City was that team imposing their will on a team that prides itself on being a bully on the field. And so it was almost like they switched places here. And so we get Patty Cakes. And this is the thing about it as well. Patty has shown us like the ability to be so to put up these great performances where he's not at all being spectacular, but the things that he's doing in this game, much like we said in this last week's game as well, where last week against the Bills he threw for 215 yards, but it was a great performance. This game he throws for 240 yards, 1 touchdown, but it was a great performance. Also, it was this is you know what, I'm gonna stop myself because this is where I'm gonna catch myself here, because this is why perception, context, and perception isn't always reality, and how you have to apply proper context, because 30 for 39 for 240 yards is dink and dunk in anybody's ball game. You know what I mean? That is a dink and dunk performance. That is old school Kirk Cousins. That's what ran Kirk Cousins out of Washington up to Minnesota. That's what had a lot of people so down on Brock Purdy, especially kind of in his own early going, or Jimmy Garoppolo's Niners. Alex Smith. This got Alex Smith fired in Kansas City. Patrick Mahomes is a quarterback in Kansas City because 40 passing attempts and 240 yards with 1 touchdown, no turnovers. That's what Alex Smith got you, and you couldn't go anywhere. But it just goes to show the context, how and when these plays are made, and how it could be these same style performances can go a different way. For Baltimore, like I said, you got away from yourselves. You didn't stay true to your own identity, but then also just missed opportunities. Missed opportunities were a big part of this. Kansas City came out and they go right down the field. They get a score. Baltimore, to your credit, you also return the favor. You get a big score. You get everything is shaping up and look everybody's as advertised, right? Lamar on that touchdown pass, the deep touchdown pass to Zay Flowers, which is kind of happened like I talked about, like we talked about on Sunday, where Lamar
Yeah,
these receivers aren't great. As I said it like 3 times, those receivers aren't great. Those receivers are barely good. But you get Lamar being special. We find a way to get Zay Flowers over the deep over the middle, and Lamar can make a play, and now we get an explosive. That's exactly how that first
yeah,
touchdown happened. Lamar
yeah,
breaks four tackle attempts, breaks a sack from Leo Chanel. He buys more time. Chop, you had pointed out time to cover. That was a 6-second play. You can't cover 6 seconds. And then what do we get? We get
yeah.
a
And then you find yourself with Nick Bolton, your middle linebacker, trying to cover Zay
boom.
Flowers 40 yards down the field.
Exactly right. And so, boy, that's a touchdown every day. That's a touchdown all day long and twice on Sunday. And they cash in. So you come out, you go 7-7 there, and then from there, like I said, I mean, they kind of just lose their way. Never really made any real attempt to establish their own running game. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know, and I can say it now in hindsight, but I don't know if that first touchdown pass may have been the worst thing that happened to them all day long. Because it's like they hit that big one, and then we just kept chasing that big one. We just kept chasing that. You know what I mean? We kept like we wanted to go wide. It was a lot of like spread it out, let Lamar sit back there, take his time. And to his credit, I guess for better or worse, some of the things that we had praised him about this season to this point was just not looking to run so quickly, really staying back there, buying time, looking to get the ball downfield. Well, yeah, all that shit's cute when it's working and when you're finding those guys when you're scoring points. But at the same time, bro, we got to do what we know. Sometimes we just got to go get it. You know what I mean? And then it just wasn't enough of that. And then yeah, man. I mean, Kansas City to their point, what they score those 17 points in the first half. They catch a bad break right there before half. That screen pass to Rashee Rice was a touchdown. I don't know what that flag was about. They got two late penalties. They got 2 penalties to go into the second half. Kansas City did on Trey Smith, the right guard, a guy I just shot out as well because he's been pretty solid. The first one's on the scramble to Patty. Patty runs, like finds a way to scramble 20 yards up the right sideline, get out of bounds. Well, that was a hold. That one was a legit hold. The guy crosses his face. He has to grab him and kind of tackle him from behind. That's a flag all day long. The very next play is like 3rd and 15 or 3rd and 17. It's a wide receiver screen pass to Rashee Rice, and then he finds a way to go 40 yards for a touchdown, and they have another call on Trey Smith. I hated that one. I thought that's the type of penalty and play that could have been the difference in this game, honestly, like without knowing how it's going to play out in the second half. But I absolutely hated that call. That one comes back. They end up just breaking a little dump play to Kelsey the next play. Then they get a field goal. So that's why it's 17-7 instead of 21-7 when they go into halftime. And there's so much left on this bone, man. I'll talk to you as well. I've been talking for a long time, but yeah, we didn't even get into the mistakes from the Ravens at all, man. But I'll let you take us into that. But yeah, no, definitely the Ravens, man, shot themselves in the foot over and over again in this game.
Hey, man, it's always meat left on the bone. You know what I'm saying? Hey, you give me some wings, I'm gonna clean that thing off.
My
you know
dog.
what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm gonna do. You know what I'm saying? No, you ain't got to worry about that, Willie Jack. But I like a lot of what you said. I view the game a little different because to me, I don't think the Chiefs offense looked much different than what we've seen from them throughout the season because this is the type of offense. Their offense wasn't impressive at all. It wasn't explosive at all. You know what I'm saying? They made a few of the right plays, and they made enough of the right plays on offense and on defense to win them this game. And it's a couple different stats that kind of tell me a little bit of their story. Of course, along with watching the game, the Chiefs, they control time and possession first and foremost, 37 minutes to 22. And I don't know what this 37 to 22 thing
That's like
is.
the third time
We've been seeing a lot of that lately. This is the third time in like 3 weeks in a row we've seen the time of possession be 37 to 22. And I think out of the 3 games, one was a winning team. So I don't know what game it was.
The only other time that it was where it was like that, it was the Chiefs were the 22, but it was the Bills game where they still beat the Bills. But it was still
there you go.
That's crazy.
That was the one game. That's the one game. But yeah, it was 3 games. Of course, it was 37 minutes to 22 in terms of time of possession. Then you get the Chiefs. They get 5 first downs this game off of penalties from the Ravens, just off of that. And then you look at the penalty difference. You got eight total 8 total penalties. Yeah, 8 total penalties versus the Chiefs only having 3 penalties this entire game. And then the third down efficiency. The Chiefs weren't as good on third down either. They were 44% on third down. They were 8 for 18. You know what I'm saying? Now the Ravens weren't good, but what I'm saying is the Chiefs weren't super spectacular. I just think the Ravens just killed themselves in so many different ways. One, you already mentioned, Todd Monken, and I don't know what he was thinking in this particular game, what he was trying to do, or what the game plan was coming into this. I don't know what he saw within his defense. The run defense was the 28th ranked defense in the regular season. You know what I'm saying? This is the 28th ranked run defense, and you come out here in this game and you completely go away from what you do, away from what got you to this point, away from what helped you beat the San Francisco 49ers, away from what helped you beat all of the top teams that you had to go through in order to get to the AFC Championship game. You went completely away from that. You went completely away from the skill set of Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson, and I said this time and time again, and this is not a knock to Lamar Jackson, it's just that different players have different styles of game. Lamar Jackson is not a 37 passes a game type of quarterback. Lamar Jackson has to have a little bit of a run game. You have to mix it up, but you cannot say, hey, Lamar, I need you to sit back there and be a pocket passer in this game. No, that's not what he is. That's not you. You might as well go back and put him in Atlanta Falcons Michael Vick offense in the West Coast and just make him drop back that way. You know what I'm saying? You might as well go ahead and do that if you're going to do it this way. The game has changed, and you have came up with a way to really help this offense be successful, led by Lamar Jackson and his skill set. And you just took him completely out of what he's good at and made him look silly. And now you got all these different people really coming down on him when I told y'all in the first place, you know what I'm saying, the type of quarterback he was. But anyway, we're not going to get into that. You know what I'm saying? But basically what I'm saying is you went away from your strong suit in this particular game. That's one portion of it. Also, the crucial mistakes. We already talked about the penalties and how many penalties they had in this game, but the crucial mistakes, and we talked about Zay Flowers. I don't know if you even mentioned.
No, I didn't even get into that. Yeah, that's why I didn't get into it.
Where he tries to reach out and fumbles the ball. That is a crucial mistake that you can't make. Another mistake that we saw from other games, another game in the playoffs. You cannot make that crucial mistake in that moment. That puts you at 17-14. That's a 3-point ball game if you get in and score that touchdown. Instead, L'Jarius Sneed, got to give him his credit, though, because although it was a Zay Flowers mistake, it was a great play by L'Jarius Sneed by hustling. And this is part of this is a brand of football. This is an attitude that you gotta kind of have. Like, and this is an aspect of football I think not as many people put as much value on that really needs to be there. There's one thing to have a good defense, and it's another thing to make sure everybody is hustling and giving it 100% and making sure you get your team to that point, you know, when you're coaching them. And this team was all hustling to the ball, and this is what you get when you get somebody hustling to the ball, because it doesn't matter. And that's why they say this is a game of inches, because he got there just in time, knocked that ball out, and then boom, you get a turnover. They don't score any points.
And then real quick. Also, just like you said, let's also not forget, Sneed had just given up the big pass play to Zay Flowers like 2 plays before that got him down to the 5-yard line, and then Zay Flowers gets up and just well-deserved taunting. Normally, I can be a little like looser on this, like, man, we grown men, but no, he like pushes Sneed back down,
pushes to the ground,
spins the ball on him, and then stands there and feel like, bruh, that could have gave you 3. That could have been 3 separate taunts right there, bro. And so then, remember, they were at the 5-yard line when that happened, the 5 or the 6. So then Sneed gives up that big play. Zay Flowers gives him 15 yards back, and then like 2 plays later, there's that play, and then Sneed gets his get back, and as karma would have it, man, he's the guy that makes the play that stonewalls him at the goal line. So yeah, that's crazy.
Absolutely. And I want everybody to get this picture. The Chiefs had 17 points in the first half.
Yeah.
That means they didn't score at all. They didn't score not once. This is the entire second half of this ball game. So this Baltimore Ravens defense was, again, time and time again, getting off the field. And the Ravens on offense compounded mistakes. So you got that play where it should have been a clear touchdown if you protected the ball. That's a 17-14 ball game. Then you come down there and you take away the opportunity to get 3 points and you throw an interception. Lamar Jackson throws an interception in the end zone. We know Justin Tucker definitely inside the 30 is money in the bank. They were inside the 30. That's money in the bank for Justin Tucker. That's at least a tie game. You cannot, and this goes back to why you don't force a 9 QB or 9 pocket passer to pass this much, because in these positions, these type of quarterbacks, Pat Mahomes knows this. Joe Burrow knows this. Aaron Rodgers, they know when we're in this position, this is how the game is going. One thing I'm not going to do, I'm not going to throw an interception. And if I throw an interception, that's what's going to happen. Throws it into triple coverage, like my Miles said. Throws the interception into triple coverage. I appreciate the alley-oop, Miles, but throws the ball into triple coverage, interception. It's more points taken off the board. That could have been a tie ball game right there. A tie ball game. If we go into this as a tie ball game, we don't know what's going to happen. We never know what's going to happen. They eventually drive down the field again. Justin Tucker hits a field goal to get them to 10. So if your defense holds Pat Mahomes to 0 that entire second half, and you convert on those opportunities, you win this ball game. But instead, it's the mistakes, the compounding mistakes, I think, which started from Ty Monken and his game plan and the brand of football they decided to play here. This is not the brand of football that was going to win you that game, and they played the total opposite of what people expected them to do and what was really supposed to be their brand of football.
No, exactly right, man. And kudos and shout out to Steve Spagnuolo, man. Steve Spagnuolo had this defense like playing at this level for 20 weeks now, because this has been a very dominant Chiefs defense from the very start of the season onward. Like, well, okay, they lose that first week in Detroit, but that wasn't the blood. They lost that game 2017, if I remember right, something like that. So they've been playing a very dominant brand of football defensively, talking about the Chiefs and Steve Spagnuolo all year long. And honestly, man, it's just they just haven't wavered. And so you've got young stars that have emerged in L'Jarius Sneed, Trent McDuffie. You got the OG Chris Jones still out there finding a way to make plays. That deflection ending the third down, deflecting the pass on third down when it was going to Flowers out wide. That was probably gonna be 20 yards in front of Slade Flowers if he doesn't take that pass. Shout out to George Kalafdis. You know what I'm saying? The sack strip fumble on Lamar as well, ending the drive, turning the ball over on the plus side of the field now for the Chiefs as well. So like that defense just showed up and showed out just consistently, man, just all day long. And then honestly, just kudos to them too for just the way they played. Like they dared the Lions they dared the Ravens to do exactly what they did. They kept the line of scrimmage crowded. It was consistently 8-man boxes, and it was telling you like, no, do it. Go up top. You know what I'm saying? It was, you know what it was, Chop? Everybody been in PE. You been in the Y. Where, you know what I'm saying? You guard somebody from the paint that can't shoot. No, go ahead, take that, bro. You got 12 feet. Yeah. You can take all the threes you want. You know what I'm saying? And that's exactly what Kansas City did all day long, and just kept daring Lamar and the Ravens offense to pull up, and they kept pulling up, throwing up brick after brick after brick, and so the Chiefs didn't never get out of it. You know, they just refused. They kept daring Lamar and those guys to call their bluff, and Lamar and the Ravens couldn't cash in. And so, man, that which still speaks again to like kind of like what we both said. They just completely got away from their identity. You know what I'm saying? Like completely got away from who they are. They added a lot more bells and whistles to this offense, but at the end of the day, this was still the number one rushing offense in the league for 20 weeks. And then we get to the end of the rainbow before we sit there and decide, you know what? Man, we taking 23s tonight. You know what I'm saying? We taking 23s, dog. You know what I'm saying? Like, imagine prime Shaq, like, I ain't dunking all night, Chop. All jumpers.
Bro, I was about to use that same analogy, bro.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so yeah, man. So that's exactly what it was. And Miles said talk about Leo Chanel. You know what Leo Chanel did? He did pretty good, man. I think he had a sack in this game as well. And actually, I know he was the guy that was chasing Lamar around where Lamar broke his sack, honestly, and they cashed his ass in. But no, I like Leo Chanel, man, when he came out of Wisconsin. But no, he played admirably, man. So he had I know he ended up getting home and having a sack in this game as well. But no, Leo Chanel, man, definitely needs a shout out as well, man. He played a damn good game.
Absolutely, with Jack, and we got a few different comments in here, man. I know you brought up Miles' comments in there. Zach said something a little bit earlier, man. He said Zay Flowers turned into OBJ when he used to play like a psycho every week. I think that was back. When him and Josh Norman was in.
And I ain't gonna lie, boy. I still when he dove at Josh Norman ear hole, bro, from like a full speed from like 30 yards across the field, bro. Like I wanted that man suspended. Like that was flagrant. I ain't looked at OBJ the same since.
Absolutely. Man, crazy,
Yeah.
crazy. And then wifey, man, she came through. She said, last time I saw grown men holding each other like that, I was at a funeral. She said, them
Hey man,
boys was
it hurts.
devastated.
Hey man, it hurts.
Yeah, they
I ain't gonna
hurt.
lie to you.
Imagine the defensive players though, Willie Jack. You sitting back here watching this game. Me and you on defense, bro. You rushing off the edge. I'm playing some corner, bro. We locked in. We ain't gave up a point. You know what I'm saying? Since the second quarter, and we go out there and we see them pass the ball. I don't know how many times they threw the ball in the second half, bro. I mean, ran the ball in the second half.
But they only ran.
You know
They only ran the ball
If it
11
wasn't-
times. I think there was 11 true rushes.
if it wasn't an off schedule run by Lamar Jackson, I don't think there was like a play that a called run that second half. Bro.
And look, bro, let me tell you the carries. Gus Edwards had 3 carries for 20 yards. One of them being, I think his first carry of the day went for 15 yards. He finishes the day 3 for 20. Justice Hill had 3 carries for 3 yards, and then Zay Flowers had 2 carries for 4 yards. Those are all just the dedicated rushing plays. And then Lamar had 8 carries himself for 50 yards, 54 yards. One of those being one where he broke for 20.
What the hell did I pay Dalvin Cook for? What did I sign him for?
I mean, well, thankfully they didn't have to pay him, but yeah, he didn't get no. I mean, yeah, he wasn't doing nothing but just he was a fly on the wall as the rest of the running back. The running backs probably could have went ahead and locked it on and took it on in, man. Yeah, they could have went ahead and took it on in.
They could have Marshawn Lynched it, bro, early in the Super Bowl.
Wouldn't nobody notice. Yeah, they wouldn't have noticed it all.
Man, for real.
And so
for real.
Yeah, man. But no, ugly day for the Baltimore Ravens for sure. Devastating way for your season to end as well, man. Just it's one thing to lose and just get beat, but to just go out there and just kind of just completely just not show up, man. Or it just felt like they just didn't really. It just like I want to lose, giving it like feeling like I want to lose, just feeling like I gave it my best shot. They just feel like they just never even got to get started. You know what I mean? It just feels like Kansas City just really just dominated that game defensively, and they couldn't do anything to stop shooting themselves on the foot when they did have opportunities offensively.
For sure. All right, Willie Jack, on to the other championship game, man. We had the NFC championship game, man, where we had the Detroit Lions. The Detroit Lions, they went to San Francisco to take on the 49ers. The 49ers end up pulling this one off, man, 34-31, Willie Jack. And let me talk to you on this one, man. I'm going to talk to you on this one. Let me jump in this one. I'm going to get in and get out your way, and then we can let it go. You know how it
Come on with it.
The Detroit Lions were up 24-7 at half. 24-7 at half. The 49ers then come back, score 17 unanswered to tie this game.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the fourth quarter, they end up sealing that deal, going ahead and putting Detroit out of that misery. Let me first say, this has to be one of the toughest losses for the Detroit Lions franchise, because after all these years of losing, right, you get this close. At this point, you sniffing the Super Bowl. It's like, oh man, we here and we put it on these boys like this. Oh man, they in trouble. And Shanahan, and you got Shanahan is not a comeback type of. He hasn't been. And then you got Brock Purdy. Oh, we straight. We good. We just gotta stay focused, play our game, and we got this. But yet, and this is what I said. I said it when we were watching this game, Willie Jack. I put it in the chat. I said, "Uh-oh," and I said, matter of fact, I said this to Shonda. When Brock Purdy threw that ball and it bounced off the defender's helmet or chest, and Brandon Ayuk caught it, I said, uh-oh, this might be trouble. They were down 14 at that point. Ayuk caught the ball. They ended up getting a score and a touchdown. And I said, yeah, Detroit in trouble. I think that might be it for them. Like that, those are the type of things where what makes me feel like that's momentum. I think there is a such thing as momentum. To me, I know some people believe in momentum, some people don't. I believe in momentum, and I think that's one of those things because it's like you see something like that happen, you like, hold on, is this their day? Sometimes when you own, and one of your shots when you shooting, it may hit the front of the rim, the back of the rim, the backboard, roll around 2 times, and go in. When you own, it just happens like this sometimes. And when that happened, I was like, uh-oh, this might be in trouble. Then they come back. The fumble by Jahmyr Gibbs sealed the deal for me. At that point, I was like, ain't no way Detroit got a chance in this game. As San Francisco was still down, but I've just seen enough of this to know this type of team, the San Francisco 49ers, we know how explosive they can be on offense. We know how unstoppable they can be when they really get rolling and everything is clicking. I didn't see too much Detroit see too much that they can actually do, and their true colors starting to show on defense that second half. That's when San Francisco was starting to roll. They were starting to get all things going. Christian McCaffrey here and there get his catches. We get Brandon Ayuk get his catches. Debo Samuel had a game. You know what I'm saying? So when you start to get all those guys involved, they are really hard to stop. And that's what it was for the Detroit Lions. They found themselves behind and down by 10 after being up 20. How you get down 10 after being up 24-7, bro? Or 24?
Yeah, 24. That's a
10.
27-point swing. Yeah, because they were up 17. They
That
went
is
from up 17 to down 10.
That is crazy, man. That is crazy. But like I said, once I seen that happen, I knew I just had that feeling, and then that's what it was. The 49ers started to roll, and they started to really take control of this game, and it was only so much that Detroit can do. But Detroit, you got to give it to them how they started off. They started off pretty hot. They had a good mix going. Amon-Ra St. Brown was having a game.
Oh,
But
he
there
was
was a
cooking.
drought in the
Lenore.
game.
He was whoever Lenore number 2. I can't think of his first name.
Hey,
Starts with a D.
hey,
Lenore was out there
he had his
barbecue
hands full.
chicken, boy.
He had his hands full. But here's the thing, though, Willie Jacket. Amon-Ra St. Brown ain't get a target until the fourth quarter after the second half. Like I don't know what was going on or why they didn't stick to what they were doing in the first half or why they felt like they needed to change anything. But no, you stick to that. You stick to what's been working with. You stick to your guys, the ones that's gotten you there, and they turned away from them and they bit them in the butt, man. And the 49ers, they would have put something together and they come away with a huge win at home against the Detroit Lions.
And definitely, like you said, man, the tale of two halves in this one for sure. And one of the bigger things for me as well is, let's not forget, Detroit ran the ball at will for the whole first half. I think they had 100. I think the final graphic was like 148 first half rushing yards against the Niners. That first half in which they just utterly just kind of just controlled, and so that was a big part of it. The second half, that opening drive from San Francisco was crucial because they had to, like, when you're down that way, Shanahan gave his best. Come from behind, the game ain't over. It's a 60-minute ball game. He had to give the best speech that he's ever gonna give. So if you come out
Give it
and
all you
don't
got,
get
brother.
points after that first drive, you can cancel Christmas. You know what I mean? Because now, like, they needed it, and so they end up stalling. I thought they were gonna come down and get a touchdown. They end up stalling, but they get the 3 points, and that was still massive because then that next Lions drive, they get a stop. So you get some points, you get a stop. That's always the key when you're down and you come out at halftime. Get some points on our first possession, get a stop, get the ball right back. So that's what we've got to do. So they do that, and then that second possession, because they get the stop on Detroit, that second possession, that's the forehead pass from Kendall Vildor to Brandon Ayuk for a 40-yard gain. You know what I mean? And so it kind of speaks to what you're saying. Like, momentum's real. Like, if you can play and you can play yourself if you want to. Momentum's real, man. You know what I'm saying? When you get forehead passes 40 yards downfield from defenders and it bounces somehow into the hands of your best receiver, you know what I'm saying? Like, things are looking up. You know what I'm saying? And so, boom, we get the ball on the 5-yard line. C-Mac punches it in. It's a 7-point ball game. In the very next series from Detroit, we get the Jahmyr Gibbs fumble. And so, just like Chop said, man, like, it happens just that fast. Just that fast. You look up like, oh, man, we got 17. It's a 3-score game. You know what I'm saying? Like, we got room to, dabble. We got room to, we got a couple we can give back. And just that fast, you
Bruh,
gave 2 up.
bro. Real quick, just think about that. The difference in that one play. If that is Vildor, that's
Yeah,
his name.
Kendall
That's how you say
Vildor.
it.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I'm asking you how to say the name. But
Hey, that's just two
Kendall
syllables. See,
Vildor,
2 syllables right in
I
my
know, right?
wheelhouse.
If Vildor catches that ball, that essentially seals the deal. Like he catches that
Oh yeah.
ball. Think about Brock Purdy. Think about Brock Purdy's mindset after he throws that interception. He's like, fuck, all right. Now he moves into a different mindset. Now the next time they get the ball back, he's pressing. Now it's a little bit more pressure on Brock Purdy to make the play. Like
Here,
it's a
no,
difference.
no. I mean, I see what you're saying, but I'm not gonna do Brock like that, man. I'm not gonna do Brock like that, man. Brock has shown us, man, like it, love it, otherwise, for 2 weeks in a row, Brock has stepped up and made play. And in the second half of both these last 2 games, because we forget they got dominated in the first half of that Packers game, and Brock Purdy came back and won that game, man. Like if it was any other quarterback besides Brock Purdy, we give him that praise for making the plays and the throws that he did, namely,
No,
especially
no,
on
no,
the.
no,
Oh,
no.
let me get this last point out real quick, and
Okay.
then more so than even the Packers game, this Lions game, Brock Purdy would play phenomenal ball, and especially in the second half of this game. Like I said, he ended up with 267 yards, 5 for 48 rushing. And I want to say, I don't know how many rushing yards he had in the first half. I feel like 40 of that 48 was in the second half. Critical, timely, long third down runs and conversions. The one he runs that gets him down, and he had another one that got him down to like the 8 yard line, I believe is what they ended up punching in. He made some. Now the forehead pass from Vildor to Ayuk, notwithstanding, you know what I'm saying. But he made critical play and critical throw after critical play and critical throw in a game in which like they had to have everyone. Like they didn't have any like. They had to have everyone, and man, he stepped up and made those plays. Man, I gotta give it to him. He stepped up and
But
made those
listen, this
plays.
is what I'm saying though, Willie Jack. Listen to what I'm saying. I'm saying on off the he did. I'm not taking
Yeah.
away his plays because he did make those plays. But what I'm saying is, if that play is an interception, what it was supposed to be, they don't get that touchdown on that drive. So you take that 7 off. Detroit gets the
Yeah.
ball, and who knows what happens there. But what I'm saying is that's more time off of the clock.
No,
That's
that's a
less
fact.
time that they
That's a fact.
less time they actually have to make a comeback. There's more pressure on Brock.
Yeah.
We just like we've seen Brock make the plays, we've also seen him compound mistakes against teams, you know what I'm saying, when things don't necessarily go his way. That was a bad throw. And he did this multiple times that game.
Well,
You know what I'm saying? Huh?
I want to think about it. Say like, was it just because it was a one-on-one throw? Vildor in that secondary soft. You got your best receiver against their second best corner, and so okay, he overshot him. We could say that. I mean, he did overshoot him for sure, but it wasn't Lamar Jackson in the triple coverage, man. There's degrees of bad. Like
No, it
I just
wasn't.
don't want us
No,
to say
no,
it
it
was just
wasn't.
yeah, but no,
No,
it could have been
I'm
a better
just
ball,
saying
but it's a
that
one-on-one
one
deep
play.
shot. And then also let's think about it as well, because I believe that was a third down play. So essentially, if it is intercepted, it's intercepted at the 5 yard line. So that's almost a punt and down inside the 5 yard line at that point. And so like, I mean, we need the points and we don't want to turn the ball over. But I guess as far as like the risk assessment on the throw, I mean, it could have been it could have been a worse situation, but no, I don't want to take away from the play that Ayuk made, but I just want to make sure
No,
that Brock gets
no,
some
we're not,
love
we're
as
not.
well, because
I'm just
he played a
saying
great second
how
half. Or
he
yeah,
definitely gets a love from playing a solid second half. But at the same time, I'm just saying the difference in just that play,
yeah,
in the outcome of that play, that's a all right. We first and goal versus it's their ball. It's Detroit Lions ball. We don't score a touchdown. You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? That's a huge in the third quarter of that ball game with
No, that
we
was
talking
that
about?
first score. That came pretty quick because it was the next possession after they get the stop. So they got the field goal, and then they stopped the.
It's 6 minutes in the ball game. It's 6 minutes in the third quarter, Willie Jack. Is what I'm
Okay,
saying. It's 6 minutes left in the third
yeah,
quarter, right? When that pass is complete. It's 6:29 when that pass is
yeah,
complete. The Detroit Lions get the ball back. It's at least gonna be 4 minutes when they if they have to punt. If they go three
What?
and out, it's gonna be four
What I was
minutes
gonna,
on the
well,
clock.
I'm gonna say, well, 4 minutes means they drove a little bit, but we gotta remember as well in the second half, and this is another thing that hurt the Lions as well, because they stopped running the ball in the second half. You know what I'm saying? Like they ran the ball so successfully in the first half with Montgomery. I think where was Montgomery's numbers in that? Okay, Montgomery goes
Bro,
15 for 93 and a touchdown in that whole game. I would imagine 12 of those carries and 88 of those yards was probably in the first half. Like they had a monster first half running the
two
ball.
minutes ain't no drive. Two. They're not calling no timeouts in the
Bro, no,
third
no.
quarter.
What I'm
Two
saying, no,
minutes
I'm
is
saying, no,
40 seconds
bro.
on the clock.
A three and out. If it's a three and out, they don't even take 2 minutes on the clock. You don't get ain't no 4 minute three and out. I'm saying if the defense.
No, 2 minutes. I'm saying it was 6 minutes and 30 seconds, bro. I'm saying if there's a three and out, it's four minutes now left. I said
Oh, okay,
2. I'm talking about a third.
I thought you said like instead of 4 minutes.
No,
I thought you said
and
like
you
they
got to
take
drive.
four
And then the
minutes off the
49ers
clock.
got to
Okay,
drive again.
yeah, okay, but
And the 49ers got to drive again. So it means when they score, it's going to take more than 4 minutes. They don't score that touchdown until the fourth
I
quarter.
think, well, I don't know, man. That's kind of it gets kind of hard because we don't know how fast these scoring jobs may take.
No, we
But
don't.
no,
We
but
don't
hold on,
know how to
but
play
no,
out. I'm just saying it
no,
changes the
no, no. It
game.
does
Is
change
what
the
I'm
game. What
saying.
I'm saying is like that doesn't end the game. There's way too much time left in this game for the game to have been over right there. If they get a stop, I'm saying like if that's an interception on the 5, and let's say they get a stop, and now they're kicking it. Let's say if they get the 3 and out from the 5 or 6 yard line, that means Detroit's going to be punting from like their own. Like they're going to be punting from, let's say if it's 4th and 2 from their own 14-yard line when they decide to punt. Hopefully, if let's say Dan Campbell decides to punt, but you're punting from your own inside your own 15. So even if you get a 50-yard punt, well, San Francisco gets the ball back almost in a do-over, and they're on their own 40. So I mean, they're still like that you can live and survive that. But no, I mean, I get what I'm saying. It would definitely change the trajectory of the game. Like I said, I mean, it still has a chance to change the trajectory. But the biggest thing for me for Detroit, you stop running the ball in the second half of the game for sure. And they had several critical third down conversion drops, bro. Josh Reynolds had, I want to say, like 3 dropped conversion passes, like drives that
Yeah.
stalled, that balls that bounced off his hands or off his chest. You know what I mean? In critical parts of the game. And also another thing as well, one of the other big changes that San Francisco did, the first half was almost completely zone. And Amon-Ra St. Brown, like we said, he was turning them boys up. You know what I'm saying? Especially like in the slot where they had number 2, Lenore, kind of being the nearest defender in him, especially if you go like some style of match zone. But it was he was just they were just tearing those guys up. They do start going to more, they start changing it up, and we start getting man looks, especially on some of those third down, on some of those critical third downs. And honestly, a couple of those times you could tell like Detroit's ready for zone. So they've got like their, like let's say like a zone beater. Like, what I'm saying, my dog Chop talks about man beaters. Well, zones, there's certain plays and calls that you have to beat specific zones as well, as you've been saying all day. Well, now they throw you curveball, and now you've got a zone passing scheme for a man attack right now that you're getting. And so we start getting stops there. Also, there was a critical one that got pointed out where they were anticipating man, because now on the big third down, San Francisco has started going man, and so Detroit comes out. And matter of fact, I think it was on one of those fourth down attempts they went to. They run mesh. Mesh is only great when it's man, because the receivers that cross in the middle have a chance to either rub or run away from their defenders, and somebody breaks free. Well, if you're in zone, we don't get that rub action, or you can't run away from me because now I'm passing you off. And so that's one of the ones where we see Jared Goff. I can't remember if that's the one he either took a sack, or what, it might have happened twice. Once he took a sack, and once he took a sack, and then another one he ends up scrambling and throwing a lame duck that died on the way to Amon-Ra St. Brown, which is the last field goal that they passed up. But but no. So kudos to Steve Wilkes and that defense, because they started kind of changing up and varying the looks that they started giving on defense. And then also, like I said, Detroit got away from running the ball, and then several mistakes they made: the forehead pass, the back-to-back fumble with Gibbs that compounds it, and then also, of course, the elephant in the room: turning down field goals, turning down points. And I'm sure we'll. In matter of fact, this will be a perfect time to bring it back in, bro. Like I know I got a feeling of where you're going, but one thing I'll say is I I get it. Some of them I get, some of them I don't. I'm not mad. I'm not mad about the first one they went that they passed up while they were still, I think that's the one they still had the lead at this point, and they pass up a field goal to go for it because that's what got you here. So I don't mind you kind of staying true to yourself there. The second one they pass up in the second half where you're down 10 points, and that one, and that's the one that the golf gets a pass off a wobbler duck that falls short of Amon-Ra St. Brown. That's the one I don't like because it's a 2-score game anyway. We need the 3 anyway. Like, that's the one I want us to take. Let's make it a 1-score game and see what happens, and they don't. But that's the one that really that just like I said, man, you went too far off the deep end. Same thing to make you laugh, make you cry, and that's exactly what happened for those Lions, man. But we land on those.
Yeah, I feel like the second one they definitely should have went for as well. I mean, not went for. I mean, the second one they should have kicked the field goal, and they weren't down 10. They were down 3. It's 27-24 when they went for it on fourth and 3 from the San Francisco 30-yard line. You kicked the field goal. Point blank period. You kicked the field goal. It's the fourth quarter, 7 minutes left. There's no guarantee what's going to happen. You haven't been able to stop the San Francisco 49ers. So if you haven't been able to stop them, at least try to tie this ball game. Now, it's not guaranteed. We know that. But this is not an extremely far field goal from the 30.
No, it's going to be I think I saw it was going to be like a 48-yard field goal.
Yeah, that's a very makeable field goal for a kicker, for an NFL kicker. You kick the field goal. Like, I understand you're gonna do what you've done, all year to kind of get you here. I'm okay with it, but at the same time, to me, this has lost Dan Campbell too many games for him not to reevaluate and say, maybe I should scale it down a little bit. Don't change who you are, but just scale it back just a little bit, because just as many times as this has won him games, this has lost him games too. And just being honest, like, there's no guarantee that if he wouldn't have went for it in a lot of those games that he won this year, that he would have lost if he didn't go for it. Like, it's just no way you can actually say that. A lot of the times he went for it, it was to seal the deal for sure, or go for it on fourth to not give the other team an opportunity to get the ball back. Those type of things. Like, but those are no guarantees that you're gonna lose a game. That's just, you just trying to seal the deal and being super duper aggressive. For this one right here, you have the opportunity to tie this ball game. And if the San Francisco 49ers go down and score a touchdown, so be it. You're only down 7. It's still a 1-possession game. But now you don't get this on fourth and 3, and they score a touchdown. Now you're down 10. Now the game is over. And then that brings me to another point. And we talked about this one too, Willie Jack. There was a point earlier in the season where a guy, I forgot which game we was watching, but no, matter of fact, it was Sean McVay, because I called out Sean McVay on this. You got the ball and you utilized one of your timeouts before scoring a touchdown to put them within 3. Mm-hmm. Now San Francisco gets the ball back. They're able to run the clock out because you only got 2 timeouts instead of 1. So it's essentially onside kick or nothing. Mm-hmm. And we know with the rule changes in the onside kick and all that type of stuff, it's very, very slim chances you're going to get this onside kick. So now, if you don't get this onside kick, the game is over because you used one of your timeouts on offense to try to score a touchdown when you were down 10. So that was another one. That was not as big as the field goal, the 9 field goal try.
That definitely came into play with them when the Detroit had the ball on their own goal line. They had the first and second down, they missed it. Third down, they tried to run, and then they got stuff with Montgomery. Then they had to call a timeout. They had all 3 timeouts to that point. I know what you played tomorrow. Okay, yeah, they had all 3. Yep. They tried to run with Montgomery, and they made it so obvious as well. I hate the way
they overthought it.
Yeah,
they overthought it.
You know what I mean? And so you try to run, he gets stonewalled, or might be even loses a yard. And so now we've got to go for it. Of course, we're going for it on fourth down. They score there, but now you're down 2 timeouts. And so, like you said, so having that third timeout because if they'd have had the third timeout, because San Francisco has to run 2 plays, they get 2 stops. Now, you know what I mean? If they had the other timeout, maybe there's a chance they could have got the ball back with, 8 seconds or just for something crazy to happen, but there's a chance. But yeah, once you but only having the 2 timeouts kind of sealed the deal for sure. But nah, man, all told, man, just man, like you said, it's I think the thing, like kind of like we said, I think we hit it on the head. The 2 plays those 2 turnovers back to back that really are those 2 plays back to back or in close succession that pass, the interception that should have been that bounces off his head into Ayuk's hands, and then the very next series, Jahmyr Gibbs with the fumble, man, just it really just right there. You lose all that cushion and all that good grace that you had built up and bought for yourselves in the first half. Right there in the span of like 2 minutes, all of it's gone. Like all of that first half success is out the window, and you got yourselves on the road in a hostile environment back into a game with the momentum completely on in the home team's favor, man. And yeah, just could not overcome.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, like I said, man, as we both said, man, that one gotta hurt. That
Yeah.
one's gotta hurt for all the Detroit fans for sure.
Yeah.
All right, Willie Jack, you got a performer of the week for me, man. Who was your performer of the week this week,
Uh,
man? If you had to name the guy, man, who was the guy that stood out to you, big dog?
And you know what, man? I'm bouncing, but I'm going back and forth, right? You know what, man? And I'll go ahead. I was gonna say Brock Purdy, but I'll go ahead and say Travis Kelce, man. 11 for 116 in the touchdown. He broke a Jerry Rice postseason record for most catches in postseason history. Like Jerry Rice's records, most of Jerry Rice's records are viewed as like unbreakable. You know what I mean? He played so long, he was so good for so long that a lot of those you just put them on the top shelf and they got dust on them because nobody's gonna play long enough or be good long enough to break those records. And as crazy as it is, like Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes, with the help of Patrick Mahomes for sure, but he's now the all-time receptions leader for career playoff receptions, which is just one of those records from Jerry Rice that I just wouldn't have imagined that would get broke. And so Travis Kelce owns that record. I think they already passed Tom Brady and Gronkowski's like touchdown duo record or something like that. I saw, and so rewriting the record books before our eyes. And what's so crazy and impressive about that is that the bulk of this is being done in like 6 years. You know what I mean? Since the time that Patrick Mahomes has been the starter for this team in this league, and like they've completely just shredding the record books in these times. Like Jerry Rice went to what? It felt like Jerry Rice in the 90s. What they went to four Super Bowls in the 90s, and Jerry had a couple big runs, playoff runs with the Raiders a little bit as well in his career, and played for 20 something years. And so he built that, accumulated those some of these records over such a great time. And it feels like in a blink of an eye, man, Patty and Travis have, like I said, starting to take some of these big records down.
Absolutely, absolutely, Willie Jack, and you got to give kudos there to Pat Mahomes and Travis Kelce. And Travis Kelce did have a big game, man, trying to turn back the clock a little bit. But mine, I gotta go with Christian McCaffrey, man. And I think you got the numbers,
I
Willie Jack,
got
that I
yeah,
called
man.
out, man. I called out some numbers,
20
man.
carries
I was
for
close.
90,
I was a little short.
20 carries for 90 yards, 2 rushing touchdowns, another 4 catches for 40 yards. And honestly, he turned down that third rushing touchdown because he had to come out and get a breather. Then the next play they bring in Elijah Mitchell, and Elijah Mitchell punches in another touchdown. But would have been 3 touchdowns for C-Mac on the day.
Gotcha, man. And I think I predicted 150 total for him, so he's a little 20 yards short of that. But yeah, man,
No,
that's my performer of the week, man.
you was close. You had him for 80 rushing and 60 receiving, and instead he had 90 rushing and 40 receiving. Okay, yeah, he was like 20 yards off, but you called 2 touchdowns for him.
Yeah, I was a little off. Called the 2 touchdowns though. But yeah, man, that's where I gotta go. I gotta go. Christian McCaffrey, my performer of the week, man. Been Mr. Consistent all year long for this San Francisco 49ers team, and it doesn't stop in the playoffs, man. Continuing to score touchdowns week in and week out for this 49ers team, and yeah, man, he's been really good. He's been really good for them for sure.
No doubt.
All right, Willie Jack, you got a game ball for me, man? Game ball before we get on the out of here?
Man, let me see who was in this thing, man. You know what, man? Let's go ahead, man. I think Miles might have did enough to run it back, man. Miles was in this thing early and often, man. Especially once we got this thing on the road and going, man. So let's go with our dog Miles running it back.
Okay, absolutely, man. Miles, man, shout out to you, man, for winning back-to-back game balls, man. So hey, man, we here, and yeah, man, Willie Jack, I think that's it. That's all,
Hey, man, that's it. That's all, man. Yes, sir. That's it. That's all, man. We came, we saw, we conquered, man. Super Sunday's on the way, y'all. You know what I'm saying? We got a good break now. We got a good break here before the big game. There will be no Sunday show, so keep in mind there is no show. Excuse me, this Sunday, of course, as there will be a week off around the league, of course, before Super Sunday, which will be following that second Sunday. So, but yeah, man. But we will be here this next Wednesday, tapping with your dogs, man. We'll find a way to make it fun for sure. We'll find a topic and we'll have some stuff to talk about, man. I think my dog Chop might have intimated a little bit of that at the beginning of the show. Other than that, hey, y'all have fun. Y'all stay safe, man. We appreciate all the love and support. Real quick, man, I'm going to run down those members real quick, man. Our dog ZB, Zach, the Mac, our favorite co-worker, was in the building. Game Ball, Miles, kind of the fam bam. Man, my mom, my sister, wife and sister of the show, Mrs. Boyce, is all in the door today. And the rest of y'all know it's nothing but love. We will see y'all next Wednesday. Peace.
Peace.
Damn.